If you are prepping for the Queensland bar, you know disclosure can absolutely make or break your case. So, in this explainer, we are going to build your playbook for the rules you have to know, inside and out, to ace that exam. So, we're going to approach this just like a playbook. First, we'll hit the fundamentals, the mechanics of producing documents under Rule 217. Then, we'll look at the game tape, see how judges have actually interpreted these rules in some really key cases. After that, it's all about advanced strategy, costs, tactics, and we'll finish up with the ultimate checklist for exam day.
Okay, let's get right into it. We are starting with the absolute bedrock of disclosure in Queensland, physical and electronic. Rule 217. This is your bread and butter, folks, when it comes to getting your hands on documents.
I want you to picture this for a second. You're a junior barrister. A truckload of documents, literally or figuratively, just gets dumped on you. It's a classic move, right? Designed to just swamp you. But here's the thing. Don't panic. The UCPR is specifically designed to stop this, and it gives you the exact tools you need to push back.
You see, Rule 217 isn't just some boring procedural rule. It's your shield. It's what ensures disclosure is actually fair and efficient. It stops the other side from just dropping a data haystack on you and saying, hey, good luck finding the needle. Now, this is the heart of Rule 217 Subrule 2, and it is so important. The responsibility, the onus, is squarely on the producing party to make your life manageable. For the exam, you want to remember these keywords. Documents must be arranged, they must allow for convenient inspection, and they have to be identified. It is their job to bring order to the chaos, not yours.
And it gets even more specific in Subrule 3. For your exam, these 3 duties are totally non-negotiable. Just remember this little mantra: facilities, person, privilege list. They have to provide the means to copy, a person to explain how they've organized everything, and, crucially, a list of anything they're holding back on the grounds of privilege.
So, knowing the rule is step 1. That's great. But to really get top marks on that bar exam, you have to show how the courts actually apply it in the real world. So let's look at the case law. This is where you're going to separate yourself from the rest of the pack.
Okay, when it comes to identifying documents, you've got to know about this little tension in the case law. On one side, you have Altman v. IOOF, which is a really strict approach where a court can demand that every single document is identified. But on the other side, you've got lifetime securities, which suggests a more relaxed view, at least initially, allowing for a bundle description. Citing both of these cases shows the examiner that you really get the nuance here. Now, for modern electronic disclosure, this quote, well, it's everything. The case you have to remember is Leneva v. Elders Insurance. It confirms that it is not enough to just hand over a USB stick or a hard drive. The producing party must also provide the means of reading it. This is an absolute gift of a point for your exam.
Okay, here is a sharp point, a crucial distinction that often trips people up. With all this talk about arranging and identifying documents, what is the only list that Rule 217 says is mandatory? The authority is Shannon v. Park Equipment, and the answer is the privilege list. That's it. Making that little distinction in your exam shows some real clarity of thought.
All right, we have nailed the how of inspection. Now let's move into the consequences and the strategy. This is where you stop thinking like a law student and you really start thinking like a barrister, actually using the rules to your client's advantage.
Just take a look at this number, 0. What does that represent? Well, that's the number of second chances you get for a free inspection. It is the cold, hard reality of Rule 219. If you or your solicitor miss that notified appointment, well, the cost meter starts running and it's on your client.
And here's the rule that gives that 0 its teeth. Rule 219 is all about the cost consequence. If your side misses the inspection, you can't just rock up and ask for another one. You have to tender reasonable costs to get that second chance. It's a pretty powerful incentive to be organized, right?
So instead of just reacting to this flood of documents coming at you, the UCPR actually gives you tools to control the flow of information. This is how you can manage costs proactively and really force the litigation to focus on the issues that actually matter, right from the get-go.
These 2 rules, 220 and 221, these are your primary strategic levers. Rule 220 lets you park disclosure on certain issues until later, which is fantastic for, say, focusing on a knockout liability point first. And Rule 221, it automatically separates liability from quantum. The other side cannot disclose documents that relate only to damages unless you specifically ask for them.
The key judicial authority for the purpose of Rule 221 is Freibens v. Hall Contracting. Justice Freiberg made it absolutely crystal clear. The rule exists to stop parties from being buried under an avalanche of marginally relevant documents that are really just designed to drive up costs. It is a cost-saving measure, pure and simple.
All right, we have covered the mechanics, we've gone through the case law, we've talked strategy. Now let's just pull it all together. This is your high-yield summary. Everything we have discussed boiled down to the absolute essentials for exam day. Just take a mental screenshot of this slide. Seriously, if you can walk into that exam and confidently talk about these points, you are in a very, very strong position. So remember, Rule 217 and its 3 duties. A Leneva for electronic disclosure. Rule 219 for the cost consequences. And your strategic deferral tools, Rules 220 and 221. You've got this. And that's your exam-ready guide to these absolutely crucial disclosure rules. Now, the key is to stop just memorizing them. Start thinking about how you could actually apply them in practice. How could you use these rules not just to pass an exam, but to put your future client in the best possible position to win their case? Because that's the real test.